Prior to the collapse of the Soviet Union, most of the international development projects that we saw around the world, primarily paid through official development funds, were funded for large-scale development, so roads, dams, that sort of thing. Somewhere around 1990, 1991, what we began to see was that increasingly development, ODA-type assistance, was going for institutional capacity development. Those would be trainings of judges, police, and so forth. And yet most of that training from the period, the last 15 or 20 years, most of that training we found to be, as we looked at it, to be somewhat ineffective and usually stovepiped, meaning that individual areas would do individual type of trainings. About 2 or 3 years ago, colleagues of mine and I started the World Engagement Institute to think about these issues in a more complicated way, in a more interdisciplinary way, to think about how we might work with human security from the standpoint both of academia and from operators, people that have been in the field doing development work, long-term development work, people that had studied the issues, people that had thought about policies and doctrine and methodologies that could be better. As we looked around, we didn't find anybody in the business of being NGOs or for-profit companies that were doing the kind of broad-based, long-term development that we thought needed to be done, the kind of interdisciplinary kind of work that would really have an impact. So 2 years ago, we started the World Engagement Institute, about 50 people from a broad spectrum of society and backgrounds. Many academics from political science, from anthropology, from law, from the development area, from business, as well as people that had been in the field doing the development, to bring the practical and the theoretical together. Our methodology since then have been to work with local groups, to work with universities, civil society organizations, governmental organizations, and to do it from a broad spectrum approach to bring more than just the law or more than just business or more than just anthropological training, to bring it all together in a broad kind of program. So working with local groups, we try to get in before conflict arises in situations in transitional societies where things may be difficult, where things may be deteriorating, and to work with universities and the CSOs to develop long-term sustainable programming that would help ameliorate the conditions that may lead to violence or may lead to instability. We also work with societies that are passing through periods of violence to think about how they can ameliorate the effects of that, how they can deal with one another in a way that leads to more hopeful and helpful outcomes. Now, in our own countries, and most of us are from many countries from around the world, both from the north and the south, from the developed and the underdeveloped world within our organization. But most of us also have situations in our own countries that need to be addressed as well. And by working with local people, by connecting with local organizations abroad, we bring the skills that they have and bring them back to our own countries. So this is a mutually beneficial way of approaching sustainable development. It's not just about going and doing charity. This is about going back and working for common interests, for a common good, for long-term sustainable development and human security. That's what the World Engagement Institute is about. I'm very proud to be working with many of the organizations from around the world, the 40 or 50 countries that we currently do some programming, where we're currently doing programming, as well as what we're doing in the United States to help train the next generation of development specialists, the people that will go out for the next 40 or 50 years and do this kind of work in a long-term, sustainable way. Very proud of this work, and I'm very proud of the people I work with.